All right, number 3, we're going to solve this rational expression. We have 4x divided by x plus 3 plus 12 divided by x, and then this is equal to 36, and I'm going to go ahead and factor the denominator. I'm going to factor out an x. So we have x times x plus 3. So if you look at the denominator, they all have either x plus 3 or just a single x, and this one has both. So this is what our common denominator will be. So I'm going to multiply the x times x plus 3. I'll multiply that times both sides. I'm just going to put the whole thing in parentheses. 4x, x plus 3, 12 over x, 36 over x times x plus 3. Okay, so when I multiply the x plus 3 times x, this cancels, and I'm going to multiply x times 4x. That's going to give me 4x squared. And then this term times the middle, the x will cancel, and I'm going to multiply x plus 3 times 12. I'm going to go ahead and distribute that. So x times 12, 12x, 3 times 12, 36, equals, when I multiply this side, the whole bottom cancels. This leaves me with 36. Moving everything to one side, I would subtract 36 from both sides. That would leave us with 4x squared plus 12x, 36 will go to 0, equals 0. From here, we will just factor out a 4x from both terms. So factor out a 4x. That will leave us with x plus 3. And then set both of these terms equal to 0. And so we get 4x equals 0 and x plus 3 equals 0. Divide by 4, you get x equals 0. Subtract 3, you get x equals negative 3. Now, you do want to plug in your answers and check, just to be careful when we're dealing with rational expressions. Looking here, probably something that we should have pointed out much earlier, but you always must remember you cannot divide by 0. So if I were to go back and plug in x equals 0, right here in the middle, I would get 12 divided by 0, which is undefined. We can't solve that. So 0 will not work. Now, if I plug in a negative 3 to this first one or here, either one, even plugging 0 here makes it not work. I would get 4 times negative 3, and then on the bottom I would get negative 3 plus 3, which gives me a 0 on the bottom. I would have negative 12 over 0. Again, undefined because we can't divide by 0. So we do get 2 solutions, but in this case, neither of them work when you go back and plug it in. So in this case, we're going to say there is no solution. All right, number 4. And it's another example. Can't see that. Number 4, we have 1 over, I'm going to factor out a 6 here. We're going to have 6, and then x plus 1, minus 5. This is a difference of squares. I'm going to go ahead and factor this. This is x plus 1, x minus 1, and then that equals 6 over x minus 1. All right, so let's talk about this up front. What numbers will not work if they are solutions? X cannot be negative 1 or positive 1. So we know if we get either one of those as a solution, they don't work. All right, looking at the denominators, we would need a 6, x plus 1, and x minus 1. Those are the only different things that appear. So we're going to do 6, x plus 1, x minus 1 times everything. All right, so when I multiply this LCD times the first term, 6 and x plus 1 cancel, and I'll just multiply x minus 1 times 1. So that leaves me with just x minus 1. And then minus, we're going to multiply and cancel out that. So we just have 6 times 5, which will give us 30. And then on this side, the x minus 1 will cancel, and we will multiply 6 times 6, x plus 1. So 6 times 6 will give us 36. Multiply 36 times x, and then 36 times 1. So this is what we would end up with. Combine like terms, negative 1 minus 30 is going to give me x minus 31. On this side, nothing to simplify. All right, so I'm going to move my like terms together. I'm going to add 36 because I want my x to be positive. And I'm going to subtract x. That cancels 0. That goes to 0. This gives us 5 equals 35x. And then from here, divide by 35 on both sides. And this gives us 1 over 7 equals x. And it's not the 1 or negative 1, so this solution should be fine. Alright, let's double check, make sure there's no mistakes here. So 6, I factored out that, x plus 1, x minus 1. 6x and x plus 1 cancel. X minus 1 is fine. That gives us a negative 30, looks good. Negative 31, looks fine. And then on the right side, 36. X and 36 looks good. I wrote a minus 36, so here's my problem. My sign changed. This should be a positive 36. Should it be? Yeah. And so I should have been subtracting 36 from both sides. This should be a subtracting 36. Combining those would give us a negative 67. Okay, so that was my problem. So this should be a negative 67 equals 35x. And then you divide by 35. And that will give you negative 67 over 35. I don't believe that will reduce. So, gotta be careful with those signs. Negative 67 over 35.